Hello friends, welcome to 1 in Millions, the real UPSC model interview. കഴിഞ്ഞ UPSC മെയിൻ എക്സാമിന് ശേഷം ഫൈനൽ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂവിലേക്ക് 100-ൽ മുകളിൽ കുട്ടികളാണ് കേരളത്തിൽ നിന്നും സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഷോസ് യങ്സ്റ്റേഴ്സ് എത്രത്തോളം സീരിയസ് ആയിട്ടാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ UPSC എക്സാം അവരൊരു കരിയർ ഓപ്ഷൻ ആയിട്ട് കാണുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളത്. ആൻഡ് സിവിൽ സർവീസ് എക്സാമിന് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന കാൻഡിഡേറ്റ്സ് 3 ഘട്ടങ്ങളിലൂടെയാണ് കടന്നു പോകുന്നത്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദ പ്രിലിംസ് എക്സാം, ദെൻ ദ മെയിൻസ് എക്സാം ആൻഡ് ദെൻ ദ ഫൈനൽ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ. ഇതിൽ പ്രിലിംസ് എക്സാമും മെയിൻസ് എക്സാമും കാൻഡിഡേറ്റ്സിൻ്റെ നോളജ് അറിയാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. എന്നാൽ ദ ഫൈനൽ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ ഇസ് ടു അസസ് ദെയർ പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റി. ഇന്നിവിടെ നടക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത് UPSCയുടെ ഫൈനൽ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂവിൻ്റെ ഒരു മോഡൽ വേർഷനാണ്. ഒരു കാൻഡിഡേറ്റ് ആ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂവിന് എങ്ങനെ ഇരിക്കണം, സംസാരിക്കണം, ബിഹേവ് ചെയ്യണം എന്നൊക്കെയാണ് ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ഇന്നിവിടെ നമ്മളെ സഹായിക്കുവാനായിട്ട് ഒരു പാനൽ ഓഫ് എമിനൻറ്റ് പേഴ്സണാലിറ്റീസ് എത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നത്തെ പാനലിസ്റ്റുകൾ retired IAS KT Chacko, former Director General of Foreign Trade, Government of India, Dr. B. Ashok IAS, Secretary of Ayush Sports, Government of Kerala, A. Hemachandran IPS, Director General, Fire and Rescue Services, Dr. Gopalakrishnan, Professor of English, Chairman, Amrita Civil Service Academy. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, kaiyukku nalla frozen aayirikkanallo. Okay, can you just give a small introduction about yourself?
My name is Ajit. I was born and brought up in Calicut. I did my BBM from Christ University, Bangalore, and this is my first UPSC interview.
Great. So, is it your first attempt or is it
No.
Okay, etramthe thavana attempt
My third means my first interview.
Okay, so aa oru agamsha undu, tension undu alle. So, എങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു ഈ UPSC മോഡിലേക്ക് തിരിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്?
I'd never actually intended to prepare for the civil services. I would just call this a very happy accident because like I intended to do financial journalism. So only after my graduation I started preparing for the civil services after I read a couple of books. So yes,
അങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു ഈ ഒരു ടേണിംഗ് വന്നത്. സോ ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു റേറ്റിംഗ് 10-ൽ നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ടെൻഷൻ എവിടെ നിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ടാകും?
I'm not actually very tense right now, but I'm a little nervous because this program is going to be broadcasted and obviously if my blunders would be recorded. So
don't worry about all those because എന്താണെങ്കിലും മെയിൻസ് ക്ലിയർ ചെയ്യാന്ന് പറയുന്ന ചില്ലറ കാര്യമല്ല. So you have already cleared your mains. So that will be quite എന്താ പറയേണ്ടത് അത്രയും കൂടുതൽ ഇൻഡെപ്ത് ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നില്ലല്ലോ ഇന്റർവ്യൂവിൽ അല്ലേ?
I think it's even more intense than the mains because they can ask question that they want. So I would call it more challenging.
Okay, so what makes you feel confident about it? About facing the panel?
I don't think there's one factor as such confident. I think I'm just generally confident because I think most of the aspirants are just, I really don't know how to answer that.
Don't worry. All the best.
Thank you.
And I'll be waiting here for you. Come back.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Please be seated.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, Kavya Ajit.
Thank you, sir.
You have come all the way from Kozhikode.
Yes, sir.
So, notice that you are into music, both listening and singing.
Yes, sir.
Have you had a classical training?
So, yes, sir, when I was young.
Well, to take you from the field of music and literature to something more mundane, you did your BBM.
Yes, sir.
From Christ College.
Yes, sir.
Business is very much central to a country's economic growth, employment, and it is getting a lot of emphasis in all countries including India. When you look at marketing, it is often said that if you have a brand which is established, then it takes care of itself. What are the major challenges in building a brand at the national or at the international level? What are the challenges?
So, I think the first and foremost challenge would be to be seen because the competition is so great that there is just no space for many brands to portray themselves and they have to pump in huge amounts of money as advertising to be seen, to customers and for customer, and this has to be repeatedly done. so that customers are able to, you know, get the top of the mind recall when they see a brand. And also there is a question of innovation. That is the greatest challenge, you know. Only if you place your brand differently will people notice the brand.
As far as business environment is concerned, opening up of India's economy and liberalization of trade has given opportunity for your products and services to be marketed to a larger geographical destination around the world. So, as if you were to start an entrepreneurship, would you say the globalization has given you a better chance today to succeed?
Definitely, sir. Because if I can build a product which is based on the traditions and the heritage of a place that I love, let's say a place like Kerala, and if I am able to produce things that are very distinct, then it would find a market in the, it would find a market in the world. One example that I can tell you is that I know a girl who is into making jewelry, especially tribal jewelry, with the help of the local seeds that you find in India, and she exports it to Scandinavia, and she employs around 200 people under her. So a model like that I would definitely like to emulate.
As far as geographical indications are concerned and patenting it, like Pochampalli sari, or you can have your Kerala specific products also. In a geographical specified product marketing, a person would buy it only if that person is aware of that geographical
Indicator.
entity, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
For example, I will buy a Pochampalli sari because I know that the saris coming out of Pochampalli are good.
Yes, sir.
Somebody who has not heard of Pochampalli will not buy a Pochampalli sari simply because you have registered that patent. So, how do you come out of this? You know, you want to register, as you said, the traditional, the cultural, the geographical advantage, and then use it as a marketing tool. But how do you overcome that to a Keralite living abroad, linking it to some location in Kerala may be interesting, but what about the larger audience? How do you use that?
So I think the answer here would be private initiative. Private initiative is very important when it comes to marketing a product. We have to understand our target group. In the target group may vary because some products of Kerala might have, you know, bigger takers in some countries. For example, like the example that I said, the tribal jewelry having a market in Scandinavia, we have to understand the market where we want to push the products and then market these products or advertise these products, bring about greater awareness of these products on those target areas.
Okay. The increasing trend of marginalizing global trading through WTO, because you know the Doha round has almost collapsed. And do you recommend more of regional trading arrangements or plurilateral trading arrangements as opposed to global trading systems through WTO?
So I would like to see global trading arrangements through WTO, which is very equitable in the sense that the developing countries will also stand to gain higher through globalization rather than the already developed states. I am not personally very much for regional groupings because it is discriminatory in nature, because globalization itself is about the intermixing or rather the free flow of capital, labor and technology, expertise, etc. And you cannot find or a country cannot, the comparative advantage of a company, it cannot be reaped if the whole world is divided into just regional groupings. That is when the TPP came about. India, in the economic survey in 2015-16, it was noted that if the TPP comes, India is going to lose out because, till now our products had been competitive, in these areas. But with the coming of TPP, country like India would stand to lose. We'd have to find other markets in, let's say, South America or Africa. So I would like to see a global order, sir.
No, I totally agree. If India is not part of a group, it will lose.
Yes, sir.
And my question is that should India be part of more groups?
So I think India's trade policies are more bilateral in nature rather than regional oriented. But yes, sir, I think if in India's interest, maybe India should join regional groups, but sir, I'm not very sure about this area, sir.
You had taken public administration.
Yes, sir.
See, in the governmental system, we have the political executive, natural in a democracy, and we also have the bureaucrats. Often there is some kind of tension between the political executives and the bureaucrats.
Yes, sir.
So, what do you think should be the ideal kind of relationship?
So I think the ideal kind of relationship would be if both entities completely acted in public interest. Now, if this factor pervades all other factors, suppose the political head and the bureaucrat, if their primary objective is to act in public interest, then I do not think that many conflicts would come about at all. So, absolute integrity as well as acting in public interest. If these two factors are catered to, then I would say that there would be a smooth relationship between the political executive and the bureaucrat.
Do you think that is happening?
Sir, it does exist, but sadly there are also deviations from this because there is a lot of pressures and group and politics obviously. So this ideal cannot always be achieved, but I think we should always strive for this ideal.
So, where there is a conflict in opinion between the political executive and the bureaucrat, then what is the mechanism for resolving that?
So obviously that act has to be legal. Whatever the political executive, whatever mandate has been given has to be legal. And I would say that a bureaucrat should be flexible but not pliant. So within the space of a bureaucrat, if she thinks that the act is not in public interest, then I would say that there should be some kind of resistance or at least some kind of recommendation to the political executive that this is harmful to the society.
You said a bureaucrat has to be flexible.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate a little more on that? That means if there is sufficient pressure, you can yield.
So definitely not, sir. Flexibility would mean that you are working the best in the space you have in the system. I said a bureaucrat should not be pliant. So a bureaucrat should not yield to the pressure which is obviously for wrongful reasons, but obviously they should be very flexible.
So do you think, what is your assessment? If we have sufficient number of bureaucrats, how will you categorize? More of them are flexible or are they pliant? If you look at the numbers.
So I would definitely say that most of the officers in India are honest.
I am not asking about honesty. You brought about a categorization, flexibility and said second as pliant. So majority of them, would you put in the category of being pliant or flexible?
Flexible, sir.
That means they are standing up to the pressures.
Yes, sir.
But then why is it that the bureaucracy is not very popular with the public?
So the bureaucracy, I think the irony here is the successes of the bureaucracy are not highlighted, whereas the failures are highlighted by the media. Because by nature, bureaucrats are supposed to work behind the curtains. I believe India is standing where it is standing right now because of the very honest and efficient officers that are manning the system. Of course, there is a percentage of them who are, who may be deviant to the ideals, but I definitely feel that these bureaucrats are the ones who are making or who took India to where it is right now.
Now, where is India standing right now? What is the percentage of people below poverty line now?
It's a very unacceptably large percentage, around 22%, sir.
So, they will say that this bureaucracy is responsible for that?
Sir, it is true that the development in, especially from rural India, has been suffering because India has been independent for around 7 decades. But the reasons for the rural India being or remaining largely poor can be attributed to many other facts in addition to administrative, lack of administrative capacity. But I cannot fully agree with the statement that it is because of bureaucrats or officers that India remains largely poor, sir.
If you are given the powers, what is the reform? Say one single reform you would like to introduce to improve the quality of civil service.
So, behavioral change. A behavioral change in the administrators and the officers of India so that they would be more responsive, more sensitive to the needs of the public, as well as greater accountability and transparency within the whole governance system.
How do you introduce that?
Sir, just like how in Kerala we introduced Janamaitri program, maybe I would follow a similar course where we could bring about community participation in setting out standards for behavior, as well as creating awareness among the officers about the crucial role they play in the society, which goes on to improving the quality of life of citizens. And then maybe a legislation, or I think basically a public pressure on the bureaucracy so that they would become more responsive and more sensitive. I could start by setting an example, but I would like to institutionalize the change.
There is a perception that Keralites they do well when they go outside, they excel, but they remain mediocre and they underperform when they are in Kerala. Is it true? Do you agree or?
So, I will have to partially agree with that, because in Kerala, if you look at the job generation of employment, the lucrative jobs here are inevitably government jobs, with private sector lucrative jobs only a small minority of them. So, in government jobs, people have this tendency to be very complacent about their work and their work culture, and also I would say that there are not enough opportunities for them to grow within Kerala because private investment is very low. But when they go abroad, they are sort of forced to excel because there are so many opportunities and our educational levels are very high. So, I think they would like to compete with the existing population there and rise above the ladder.
You have heard of Varghese Kurian?
Yes, sir.
What was his contribution?
Sir, Amul. He brought up this cooperative sector in milk production and milk distribution called Amul. Now, the success of his entity or the success or his genius lies in the fact that he beautifully incorporated public participation and profit motive or commercialization together.
Okay, an entirely different matter. Now, Vijay Mallya is in news for the wrong reasons.
Yes, sir.
What is the allegation against him? What are the nature of cases against him?
So, like all large corporate borrowers, during the boom period of till 2007 and 8, many corporates had borrowed large sums of money to increase their production capacity or their service capacity. Now, Vijay Mallya was no different. He borrowed large sums of money and he could not repay after the global financial recession. And I think the initial sum what he borrowed was around 3,000 to 4,000 crores, but the interest and penalty and everything has come up to a figure which is around 10,000 crores. So, which he says is very unfair, and he fled to London. And there was a tussle, or rather Indian government was trying very hard to extradite Vijay Mallya to India, and I believe Scotland Yard had arrested him and he's out on bail, but he would be returned to India shortly if things go the right way.
You are optimistic about his being brought back to India?
Yes, sir.
So, what are the issues involved there?
So, I think the greatest issue there is that Vijay Mallya is not there in India. Vijay Mallya is there in London. So, there is very limited ways that Indian government can sort of persuade the British government to send back Vijay Mallya to India.
Now, what is the legal mechanism? Has India been successful in getting people extradited in that manner earlier?
So, I do not know, sir. I am not very well aware.
Kavya, I see from your detailed form that you have attempted civil service 4 times.
Yes, sir.
But in 2015, you also tried the combined defense services.
Yes, sir.
Why did you do that? Are you very sure that civil service is your thing, or you wanted to be an officer in the forces also?
So I am very attracted to uniform services. So when I heard about the CDS, I wanted to give it a shot. That is all. But my heart was always there in the civil services.
So the uniform is, and police is your second choice.
Yes, sir.
Right. But how do you compare the opportunity to serve in the armed forces? Which unit were you select? You were not selected.
No,
but
sir. I got conference out, the last stage.
Last stage. But how do you compare the career avenues in defense and civil service? What are the crucial differences? As a layperson, I know you are not a member, but
So I think the very primary difference would be that in the civil services can afford you greater diversity in life experiences, which the military cannot, because you get higher opportunity to interact with the public and directly come across your problems, and in solving those problems, and you also there is greater scope for innovation, bringing about community participation in different methods, which is sort of not possible in the military. But I think both of them are very similar in the fact that they act in public interest, or they act to improve the quality of life of Indian citizens.
okay. Have you heard of this issue which was sorted to a great extent, which was known in the press as one rank, one pension?
Yes, sir.
What was it about, and what was the dispute?
So one rank, one pension. Up until now, the pension scheme was such that a person with the same number of years of service and a person and of the same rank retiring was getting 2 different rates of pension. The one rank, one pension scheme was a demand from the veteran or the retired army personnel that if I am, if I gave the same number of services and if I retired with the same rank, then I would like the same salary as my fellow army men.
Which corps or divisions of the functional disciplines of the army are women allowed? Are they allowed in fighting units now?
No, sir. Combat roles,
which are the
women are
units
not
which
allowed.
admit women in their corps? Officers?
So even in officers, the combat role is not there. Very recently, Indian
By the
Air
way,
Force.
which are the combatant units or wings of the army? The divisions?
I'm not absolutely sure, sir.
No, you almost made it to the forces, so you must have taken for example, your supplies corps, is it a fighting wing?
No, sir.
No. ASC, Army Supplies Corps, no,
No, sir.
clearly. But there are 2 fighting wings which you must have read up.
So I do not know, sir.
Infantry and artillery, for instance. Okay. Anyway, let us leave it aside. What do you, how would you rate the role of women civil servants in India? Can you, there have been a substantial presence. Now I am told it is almost 30% in the higher services every year of recruitment. Have you noticed any spectacularly achieving lady officer in any of the services, and about their contribution? Somebody who has come to your notice or inspired you. Would you like to give a couple of examples?
So I think the most popular and the most inspiring would be Kiran Bedi, the IPS officer. Now, other than bringing on a lot of, I would say very gutsy reforms, because they called her Crane Bedi for evicting, illegal car parking on the roadsides.
By the way,
of
car
Delhi.
parking eviction all officers do. So if you land in IPS, you will also do for a couple of years. But
so I think
what is a substantial contribution? If you read I Dare, her autobiography in that sense, what do you think is the most critical contribution she made, long lasting?
So I think she institutionalized the change in Tihar jail. That was Vikalp.
Right.
I'm not absolutely sure about the names. It was Vikalp or
Vipassana.
Yes,
But
sir.
that's a small part of it. What was her key contribution in jail reforms? It is a acknowledged reform. What was the main contribution?
So a large number of reformation in the criminals had taken place because of her activities. But beyond that, I am not aware.
Any
sir.
other civil servant you would like to name? are we to say that after 60 years only one
No, so
lady
there are
has
so
made
many
an
names,
impression?
but I'm not able
You're
to,
not able to.
Kavya has to
recollect,
join.
sir.
Huh? You could be making your own contribution.
Yes,
That is also all right. Have you heard of this name Durga Shakti Nagpal?
Yes, sir.
She's a fairly junior officer.
Yes,
but
sir.
Why was she in news?
She was a UP cadre officer, I think, and she demolished some encroachment of land and the illegal construction in encroached area, which she had demolished, which came in for great political criticism, and she was about to be removed. Against
She was
which
suspended actually.
she was suspended, and against which this IAS lobby came ahead and said, you know, that what she did was right and fair. So we would not like this to happen.
And what happened then?
I do not know, sir.
Okay, and anyway, I'll answer it because there was a change in the rule, regarding the suspension of officers, and some changes happened in the rules after that particular incident. Okay, I'll stop here.
Okay, Kavya, you are going to enter the service.
Yes, sir.
Now, since you are a student of marketing, let me ask you, how do you brand yourself?
So I would brand myself in one motto,
Okay.
which I would like to carry with me till the end of my career. That would be inflexibly upright and minutely just.
Okay.
This is the motto that I'd like to, act out.
Okay. But then when you get into the service, you would have de jure power, by way of law. How do you handle those with de facto power?
So whenever there is conflict of interest, with consensus and compromise, I would like to carry out whatever action is needed in public interest.
In public interest.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You studied public administration.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a very simple, basic question. You talk of commitment, coordination, and cooperation and governance. Now, what would come first and why?
Commitment, cooperation.
And coordination.
So commitment.
Why? Why?
Because only if you are committed to the job or the service that you are doing will the others follow.
But if imagine you are committed, but the rest are not committed. So how can you coordinate? Without coordination, what is the fate of execution?
But sir, without commitment, how can there be cooperation?
I don't know. You tell me.
So I would like to set an example.
Okay.
I would also like to inspire my colleagues and my subordinates so that they would act in, they would collaborate and cooperate.
Okay. Fine. Now, which was the last book that you read?
So I'm reading Midnight's Children right now, and I just
Midnight
finished
Children
reading.
Right now, what happened?
So I'm
Yes.
still reading it. I just finished The Picture of Dorian Gray
Oh, I
and
see.
Burmese Days.
Okay. So you're rereading old things, classics.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine.
Kavya, Government of India came up with this Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme.
Yes, sir.
There have been differing views on the need and effectiveness of this initiative. What is your view?
So, rural India, where the large majority of our population resides, is generally acknowledged to be poor. Now, this is because the productivity of agriculture is very low. So, if we have to bring about development of these people, we have to raise their purchasing their purchasing capacity. Now, for that we have to provide employment. That is why MNREGA scheme was introduced by the Government of India, so that they can be reduced poverty, greater development. But the greatest criticism has been, one is that it caused a loss to the exchequer. The second is that capital assets have not been created by MNREGAs, rather wasteful exercises such as, or rather unproductive exercises have been carried out in the name of MNREGA, and also there is a allegation of leakages and corruption and lack of equity. But on the whole, it has helped to alleviate rural poverty and also bring about development and save many from the perils of job uncertainty.
The scheme basically addresses the concerns of two categories of people who could potentially be workers. Who are those two categories in the rural areas? All landowners are under that category?
So I'm
You
not
said
aware,
about
sir.
productivity laws
Yes,
and
sir.
all that.
So I know that you know there is preference for BPL and also unemployed laborers, but beyond that I do not know, sir.
See, the scheme has this novel idea that anybody who comes for manual labor should be deserving to earn something through manual labor, and therefore it will automatically exclude the rich, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So, in a place like Kerala, what has been the success of Narega?
So in what I've seen in Kerala is that a lot of women have come forward to avail the job opportunities given by MNREGA, but I have not come across you know the building of large capital assets or something of you know great a model like that or a project like that. I have personally I'm not personally aware of any such thing. The Kerala economy itself, I would say, is you know the Kerala model of growth where most of our money is pumped up, you know, pumped through you know, outside foreign income. So I forget the word. So MNREGA in Kerala, I would say that it has not as great an impact as it had in the northern states.
The remittances you were probably wanting
yes,
to
Thank you,
recall. Recently, there has been an endeavor to amend the Right to Information Act, which is also a strong pillar of public administration
Yes,
and
sir.
its efficacy and service delivery. So, what are your views on Amendment of Rti Act?
So I cannot, I'm not able to recall the proposed amendments, sir.
But having seen RTI in operation for the last 6-7 years or more, do you think there have been any major lacunae or need for amendment?
So I think the greatest lacunae would be the lack of awareness and the skew in the gender parity of the people seeking information, because if you see, women only constitute a very small you know number of percentage of people who are applying for right to information. And the number two would be that many of the information officers are sending back replies saying that we cannot disclose this information because you know these come under this is in the interest of social security, or this comes under, I forget the name of the act, sir, so that we are not able to provide the information. So a lot of information people are not able to access because it comes under the exemptions which is provided in the law.
But I thought the exemptions were too narrow.
So although it is subject to interpretations, I think that is what is making it rather broad.
So you feel that if more women were approaching under RTI seeking information, RTI would have given more of justice to women?
Definitely not, sir. I don't think it is about women or men applying for the information. I think we have to change the nature of the Indian bureaucracy, where you know we try to keep everything under wraps. This is a sort of colonial legacy. We have to be more open, more transparent with the people. People deserve to know what is happening in the government.
Many times it is said that the process of calling tenders and awarding works is inbuilt, there is certain amount of corruption and collusion and all that. There was a concept of a Swiss challenge which was in practice or developed. Have you heard of Swiss challenge?
So Swiss challenge was pertaining to PPP model, but then they talked about hybrid annuity model, but so I am not very well aware about, because this was slightly technical in nature, so I wasn't able to follow it, sir.
Anything else?
You mentioned about this Kerala model in between.
Yes,
that he
sir.
was asking. What is your idea of Kerala model of development?
So the Kerala model of development is a model of development where our PPP or per capita income is only, if you list out Indian states, it's only 12th or 13th. But in social indicators, our human development indices are very high. In fact, they're comparable to almost Scandinavian countries. Now, this has been achieved because the government was able to invest in health and education extensively in the formative years.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
Kavya. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
യെസ് കാവ്യ എങ്ങനെയുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ?
It was fine, I guess. Kore unexpected questions because they didn't ask any daft-based questions like my hobbies and all. Everything was like general questions. So yeah, it was good.
സോ ഡു യു തിങ്ക് ഇനി ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഏരിയ കൂടുതൽ കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം എന്ന് ഫീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Yeah, I think probably I should concentrate on management.
സോ ഇനി കുറച്ച് നിമിഷങ്ങൾക്കകം ആ ഒരു റിവ്യൂ കിട്ടുക അല്ലേ? സോ ഓൾ ദി ബെസ്റ്റ്. എന്താണെങ്കിലും പോസിറ്റീവ് റിവ്യൂ ആയിരിക്കട്ടെ.
Kavya, this is not part of the interview. We just called you to give you a feedback, and with the hope that that will further improve your prospects. On the whole, we have assessed you at 67%.
Thank you, sir.
And which, as you know, is a good percentage. We also err on more liberal side. So, but that you can always strive for better performance in the actual interview. A couple of issues only which I have noted. One question was asked, if you recall, is it a failure of the Indian bureaucracy that still 22% of the population is below poverty line? You gave an answer which said that, you know, well, this is more focus should be given, etc. But there you should have particularly said that you have reached this 22 from a very high percentage of
Yes, sir.
45 or more
Yes, sir.
In a span of
70 years.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
not 70. When of course way back 70 years we didn't have probably that data, but in the last 30 years, 40 years, progress of reduction in the BPL population ratio, if you look at, there has been a significant improvement in the reduction. So that you can always point out as some indicator of effectiveness of the service delivery and all those things. Then one of the NREGA criticisms, if that point comes up, which you can add to whatever capital assets not being generated, etc., is also farmers have been crying from rooftops in the country, saying that they are not getting laborers because NREGA work is not supervised very efficiently. It is attendance that is inevitable, not work. That is the general apprehension. And therefore, even when there is a weeding season or a cropping planting season or harvesting season is there where you large number of workers are required, a group of workers who are used to being idle at work, they are not very much enthused to come for agricultural work where somebody will be supervising and expect an output.
All right.
So there has been some criticisms of that sort also. That's all from my side.
You are doing extremely well, and you improved a lot.
Thank you, sir.
And I am so happy. A couple of things only on the Vijay Malaya issue. Whatever you told was right. Only thing is you appear to be a little too sympathetic towards him. That is his side of the story.
Okay, sir.
But the state has lost so much, and that is also there. That's why we are going about it. And you are expected to know a little more about that.
Yes, sir.
Because it's a live issue. It is there. He is accused of offence of money laundering, and then extradition issue. So now that it is very much in the focus, you are expected to know a little more. Similarly, about the bureaucrats also, I thought you presented a very rosy picture about which I will be happy. Ashok also will be, we all will be happy. But
It's our dream.
It's our dream.
It is there. So.
But it need not be taken so by the board. Board may have one officer, and there you need not be appearing to be supporting the government perception or so-called officious view or official view, whatever it is. You can You are not part of the system, you are a citizen and you can have your independent, that will be more appreciated. But otherwise, you are doing well. You will do very well in the interview.
Thank you, sir.
You do like this only. I am happy that you are reading Burmese days.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I just thought that when I saw you last time, that performance taken as a whole was a notch higher than today. Maybe it's another day, but doesn't matter. And the difference was this slight lack of clarity on some of those pointed questions, you know. And your language, your presentation, all that will not give you any trouble. So, how many more days are available for you?
Roughly around 25, sir.
So that's good enough. So just brush up your facts and try to go a little in depth. You know, that's what I thought. You are a very you are cut out for you know, a civil servant like day, but a little bit more of academic precision on some of those things. For example, regarding famous women civil servants, you can do a little bit of research.
So I actually read 10 names yesterday, sir, but I couldn't recall in the
it was
interview.
just, I
just
told you
slipped.
it's not a bad. It's not a very good day. So. For example, Anna Malhotra, who is
First,
was from our own, the first officer,
and Malayali.
Malayali, who is retired as Government of India Secretary, I suppose.
So there was that
Yeah, role
Assam
development.
officer who was taking the militants in Assam.
Yeah, that Samyukta.
Correct.
Chronicler.
Exactly. Then one as that was there. Then Arundhati Ghosh, India's the most senior diplomatic officer.
And even Nirupama
Nirupama
Rao, Foreign
was
Secretary, rated as one of the finest officers.
one of the Nirupama and Arundhati extremely, and many of them from
She is
Kerala.
from Kerala.
From Kerala. Then you have probably, of course, Kiran Bedi you mentioned. So try and look at some of these people who have been at the top. Sujata Singh was there as Foreign Secretary for some time, but anyway, have an idea of a few of the important. Sarlak Dewal was there, I suppose.
Sarlak
Dewal was
Dewal,
there. PMO was Secretary. Have a familiarity of these names.
All right, sir.
That's all.
Actually, on
So
live
I'm-
issues, you can be in them.
All right, sir.
Live issues. That's all you need.
I am meeting you for the second time.
Yes, sir.
Even
You
Padmanabhan
have
Rao
really
has been
improved. I am happy to see that.
Thank you, sir.
But I think your impulsiveness hasn't gone completely. So I think if you can cut on that, I think you stand a very good chance.
Sir, so would you recommend that I
You think about the question before jumping into an
Okay.
answer. You know, if you can think for a minute or two before you answer, I think that can take care of your impulsiveness.
all right, sir.
The rest is, I think, is all right.
Don't take a minute, sorry, few seconds.
Yeah,
Because
a
otherwise
few
it'll hang.
seconds.
Otherwise
Sorry.
it'll hang.
Yeah. A few
All right,
seconds.
sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
best of luck.
Best of
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
all the best.
യെസ് സോ എങ്ങനെയുണ്ടായിരുന്നു റിവ്യൂ
I think the feedback was pretty good. Like, എല്ലാം ഭയങ്കര helpful points അവർ പറഞ്ഞു തന്നെ. I'm glad that I improved from last time. And yes, I think I have to invest more time in my content building.
ഓക്കെ ആൻഡ് സോ എന്തായിരുന്നു എത്ര പെർസെൻറ്റേജ് എന്നോ എന്തെങ്കിലും
Yeah,
പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടോ
they said that I'd score around, I think they said 65 or 67%, which is a very, I think it's on the higher side that even they mentioned. But yeah, they said I'd perform well, so I'm pretty happy.
അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു കോൺഫിഡൻസോട് കൂടി തന്നെ ഫൈനൽ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂവിന് പോകൂ. ഓൾ ദി ബെസ്റ്റ് ഡിയർ. ഓക്കെ.